Welcome to Did She Really Say That? The podcast for women who are done following the traditional business rules that don't serve us. I am your host, Katrina Van Housden, and in every episode, we break down what it really takes to scale your business as a woman. No burnout, no BS, no apologies. So if you're ready to discover how your natural female intelligence can become your biggest and most authentic advantage, grab your free guide at createherplanner.com/free. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Well, welcome back to Did She Really Say That? And guess what? Today I'm your host, Hilary DeFreitas, because today we're flipping the script. We're interviewing Katrina, who's usually our host of Did She Really Say That? And we're talking something that's up my alley, technology. We like technology when it works, right? So, Katrina, thank you for joining us on your own show. And we are going to be diving right in because one of the things with our that we've been talking about for a very long time is the female intelligence system and how that plays a role in how we live our lives, run our businesses, think about money. And we're going to now start thinking about technology in our business with that in the background, like thinking like that's the hum, and we're like female intelligence system, but how does that play a role in technology? So one of the first questions that I do want to ask again is what are most business owners not understanding about how their business works and how they're wired to build and scale?
Well, that's a great question. And it is weird to be on this other side with you, Hillary. Like, I'm usually on the one interviewing. But this is a great question because one of the things is that for those that have listened in to this podcast, I have been a coaching and training and business consulting and growth strategist and technology funnel builder for like over 2 decades. Like, it sounds weird saying that out loud, but yeah, that's the honest truth. So when you're asking about, the female intelligence cycle and how does that play with technology, what I always find fascinating as I work with clients is that the technology supports you so that you're not in decision fatigue all the time. I think oftentimes when I work with women that are in the world of business and they're building online and they're trying to figure out all this digital technology, which can be extremely overwhelming. It's like, where do you start? How do you even get started with this? What do I need in my business? And everybody out there has a bright, shiny object. Here's what I will tell you. In 20 years, there is a new bright, shiny object all the time, right? Every single, it just evolves, right?
Yes, almost
There's
every three
new
months.
websites that you're going to join. There's new CRMs, which is your email database, that are popping up. And every single one of them is just trying to make your life simpler, right? They're trying to make it easier for you to be a business owner and not have to sit here and figure out, okay, well, my client or my customer just came in. Now I need to go run off and do this. And now I need to follow, like the follow-up of it is exhausting, especially because as women, I find we just really want to make sure that our customers are taken care of. We want to do it in such a perfectionist way because we have this desire to really give the best experience. Having gone through, I think, so many digital funnels ourselves, and we're like, this sucked, right? Like, I could do better.
Yes.
And then I get that. I hear that 100%. So yes, when you talk about the female intelligence cycle, what that really is how women think and process information and make the best decisions throughout their month.
Right.
So many times we've been in the digital marketing space for years, and I've sat in a lot of high-end masterminds, and everyone always talks about the daily method of operation. What are your day-to-day tasks that you're doing that's moving your business forward? We're so focused on the day-to-day. And as women, Hillary, you can relate to this, right?
Yes.
In the back of your brain, as you're trying to figure out how to grow in business or how to get everything moving in business and how to take care of the customer and their experience with you. Did I just share the kids? What am I going to make for dinner? Did the laundry get done? Is the house clean? Are we having guests over? Who's going to go where? Oh my God. We have all these other loads that we're carrying and all this other that's running either consciously or subconsciously
Consciously.
and trying to build the business. And we're like, something's going to have to give. And usually it's us first because businesses and systems that are so piecemeal together that they don't feel simple. They feel
Simple.
complex. They
Yeah.
feel heavy. And you're just so afraid to make a misstep because what if the whole deck of cards comes crumbling down,
Crumbling. Yeah.
crumbling, all of it. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're afraid of.
And so do you think that a disconnect then between our like, and I would say even personally for myself, not really recognizing that cycle has caused me to overcomplicate a lot of things. So is it just not recognizing where you are in the cycle, or are there just things that we overcomplicate in our tech stack, right? And that is disrupting how we are able to manage our capacity of what we can do.
I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both. And I think
All right.
that's the one thing with women is that if we don't understand how our thinking and processing actually works and use that superpower,
Mm-hmm.
then what we end up doing is we just try to throw everything together because we're just like, this has got to get done. So unknowingly, we built very complicated tech stacks because I hear from this person over here that I need this tool. Then I hear from this person over here that I need this tool. And I need this person here that, and all of a sudden we've got all these tools. And the crazy thing is some of them are redundancies.
Mm.
A tool that you have may already have that asset or that what you were looking for, but because it was new, shiny, and bright, and everyone said this is what you need now, then we get overcomplicated, and then that gets very expensive. Like tech stack can get freaking like you can lose money left and right, to be honest. She's
Yeah.
laughing.
No,
Hillary's
but
giggling because she knows this. Like she's like, yeah.
it's for real, because you talk about the duplication. I mean, it's listening to all these voices. I mean, and you said both, right? Because you said it's not an either or. Because one of the things that you do realize is that when you start listening to yourself and you are able to take information from external and do something with it other than just do what they want you to do. I think that's a big, big difference there. When
Well,
it
and
comes to
here's an
that.
example of this, right? So I swear to you, this is kind of like my first aha moment in the 20 years is I was sitting there at a conference and I was at a marketing conference. It was a fairly big one. And one of the patrons that was there, we were in a discussion. I met somebody there and he's like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe it. Like YouTube, do you know what you can do to YouTube to grow and expedite your business? And then you need this, this, and this. And this can actually help you get to 1 million views and all of this. And I thought to myself, the guy that just pitched you on stage, I promise you learned from the guy 90 days ago that was selling the exact same thing. He's just cracked the code also and wants more people to have success, right? So now he's excited to tell you what he's doing, but his mentors, trainers, and everything else that have given him this information, you're hearing for the first time. And I think that's what's really interesting is because there's so much information out there that there'll be a lot of times you'll come across new information that's been out here for decades, but is new to you because now you're in a spot where you might need that service, you might need that tech stack, you might need that marketing tactic because it wasn't on your radar. But I will tell you that throughout the years, all of this is just cyclical. It all comes back up again. Here's the best way to do this. And what's funny, and honestly funny, but what's really interesting is the strategy actually doesn't change. Yes, these websites and these marketing tactics and these tools are continuing to evolve, now bringing in AI, trying to stay up with the latest trends and everything else. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it comes back again to what's the client experience that they're having with you in your business. That's
Yeah.
the simplest way to break this down. If you want to uncomplicate it, it's not about all the technology, it's what's the user experience of your product or service. Not what you're building for your business, but what's the experience the user's having.
The users are having. So that is like I would say the simplest way that you could look at your technology is not what you need, but what your customer is going to experience. And then
Yeah.
what is that? So like give us an example. So in our business, what are those core elements then that you need for your customer to have a good experience with you in your business?
So this has been a back and forth over the last 20 years. Some would say you need a website. Some would say you just need a social media page. You can sell from a social media platform or you can have a website. So this is a back and forth, and I don't think either answer is wrong. I just think
Mhm.
it's all dependent on your personality and the business that you're building, right? My biggest fear around using social media is that I'm renting that space at any time, and I've seen this happen so many times. They can shut you down, ban you, kick you off a site, restrict your use to certain tools on these websites, all because you innocently, most often, innocently did something that got you into that situation. right?
Mhm.
So when you're using other people's platforms to build your business, then you're at the effect of what they're doing, right?
Right.
And so, and that goes with like anything that you're actually purchasing. So I'm not saying that it's not, but when you own your assets and tools, and what I mean by that is that you control that. No one's going to kick you off of it. No one's going to ban you from your own
Own website.
website, right? There's a different thinking. And I get that AI is shifting and changing, but people are still searching for information. And especially as we're stepping into this AI digital space, a lot of us are starting to have a distrust of a lot of the digital or media platforms that are out there because we know there's things like deep fakes. We know that people are using AI to create lead generation or do videos or do content that isn't really them. It's a digital rendition of them
Of,
speaking out into the universe, right?
yes.
So again, you're always looking at what's serving me and helping me build my business, but ultimately what I keep going back to, what's the customer experience? And when you have your own website and you can say definitively, I pay for my hosting, I pay for my domain, these are assets of my business that
Hmm.
I control, that's the first part of your tech stack. Is like, what do you want to have ownership of? And what are you relinquishing ownership of?
Hmm.
That tells me what type of business you're in and whether you really understand asset ownership as a business or as an entrepreneur.
Right. And that's, well, obviously we're talking in the digital space because recently I gave my girls an example of businesses that when you talk about renting space, a mall recently got shut down because Macy's decided that they're not going to be doing the business in that mall anymore. That was basically the mall's biggest client. They couldn't sustain being open without the Macy's. And then all of the other little companies that were in there, they had to literally close their business,
Because
right?
they're considered anchor stores. They anchor
Yes.
in
Hmm.
the overall ecosystem for everybody else.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if they don't exist, then the businesses around them don't exist in
Don't
that space
exist.
area and they
Yes,
disappear.
and they just disappear. Yeah. So that was a real physical example, of what you were talking about, using social media, using all of these other sites as your as kind of like your base, which
Yeah.
it's not, right? So again, you talk about simplicity and where that business is going. What simplicity implies it's like the not too much expense. Now you talked about, a lot of the things that you buy are probably duplicates. I want us to get into a few examples
Oh,
of
for
that
sure.
because over the years we've seen them, but I think even at some point in time, I myself have probably had about three different email marketing systems at the same time. And I was like, wait, I don't need all of these, right? So let's get into a couple of specifics about like what are those core elements that you need, and just a few examples that you've used over the years.
Yeah, so the one thing for me is I truly believe if you're gonna own your business, own the domain, own the host. Or
Right.
like own the website, right? Get your
Yes.
domain, that's the name of it. Have a host, somebody that you trust, and be able to have access. That's one of the big things I'm starting to see right now. There's a big company out there that I shall not name, that is telling everybody you need to be on this platform because we have your website, we have your CRM, we have everything else. And a lot of it's run by different agencies. So you're getting this great sell around this like all-in-one built platform for your business. Everything you need is going to be on here. And yet at the same time, I'm also hearing is that you don't have access to your own website. You still have to go through a development team to
Mhm.
even make a small, simple change. And that racks up over time. So if you're a business that is in a mid-growth phase, right? Investing in that is an expense. And the question is can you maintain that expense long term, or is there other solutions? So for me, when I look at what my tech stack is, I want something robust, but I don't want it to cost me an arm and a leg, and I don't want to have ongoing expenses for it. So I don't necessarily want to have a monthly ongoing $200, $300 expense to run a digital space on business when I know after 20 years, because I've seen a lot of the technology come out and everybody is racing to continue to improve their platforms. That's how they're staying in business, right? So the first thing for me back in the day is that I wanted my own website, and free websites aren't fantastic. Most of the websites that you guys are seeing out there through
Mhm.
agencies are all template built, which means they're using the same structure for every single client,
Mhm.
changing the picture, which has been something we've been doing for like over 15 years. Hillary's laughing over there because we actually consulted with a company. We were brought in and we consulted with a company that literally helped people build their websites, and it was just a template. We were using the
Yes.
same 3-page template showing you how to grow and scale your business, but it was the exact same 3-page template, and everybody got it. Just now it was adjusted to your colors,
Yeah.
your pictures,
Yes.
and but the structure of it's still the same. And I've seen this again. And other times I was actually consulting for another company, and their brand marketing expert was like, yes, I use this platform and everybody gets the exact same template. I'm just changing out the pictures they want and the graphic type they're
Right.
using. So this is nothing new in the world of digital online business creation. I think since 2020, we're seeing a more focus on it only because more of us as women and men have gotten online and we said, hey, we want a digital presence. We want to build a digital business. What's the fastest way to get started? If for marketing reasons and ad budgets, the one you keep seeing is this top one out there. But there's a lot of other ones out there that allow for you to build tech stacks that are really, really good. So I use Optimize Press 3 as our theme for our website. What's
Mhm.
beautiful about that is the one-time annual fee. You can do like that's it. It's one-time annual fee. It's less expensive than anything you'll pay out there. And what I like about it is it's got my funnels. So it's got a funnel builder in there. It's got my
Mhm.
landing page builder in there. It allows me to make sure everything looks exactly the same. So if I'm like on a do-it-yourself basis, why am I paying more for the exact same thing that I can get if I'm willing to put in some
Mhm.
work initially to get it going, right? And
Yes.
yes, there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve with everything. But what I like about, some of these and the Optimized Press has been out here for like 10 plus years or 20
12
plus
years.
years.
12 years.
Like
13
it's
years.
been
More
here
than
for a
that.
very
Yes.
long time, right?
Hmm.
And so yes, they are always constantly evolving, improving it for us, again, the
Hmm.
user experience.
Yes.
They know what their business is, but they also know as us as users, we want something that's simple. So I like the fact that I can go into my website and yes, I still have a web designer. I still have somebody in my pocket that I'm like, help, right? I don't want to build this. And yes, with
Hmm.
AI, I use Claude, but I still have to refine Claude's website output to me, make sure that it's all looking the way I want it to look, right? But
Right.
that's my years of experience having built my first blog in like 2003, right? When it was freaking harder than dirt, and then we did
I
not have what
know.
we have
And you,
now.
you you needed coding. You
And
needed
you needed a
coding.
coding. I had to understand HTML, and I had, but the thing is like when you understand, I think at some point just the basics of why and how your system works, if you're curious enough,
Hmm.
not that you have to learn it, but that you can able to communicate, and you're not getting ripped off
Hmm.
for everything that everyone's telling you is the must need.
It's a
So I
must need.
think the first thing I had was I bought the domain. I used something like Namecheap. You can use GoDaddy. There's tons of domain hosting or purchasing sites out there.
Mhm.
Um, from there, I actually, through a lot of research, so there was a lot of hacking of hosting sites. There was a lot of corruption of hosting sites. There was a lot of clunkiness with some hosting sites out there. And I know the newest and greatest tool out there is like claiming that it all builds in one. Here's my only question. If everything in your business runs on one platform and that platform goes down, can you still accept money? And if you don't know how to accept money, then you don't have a business.
Right. Yes,
I'm
because that
just
is
saying,
another
right?
fundamental. Right.
So I don't want you to be solely reliant on one tool. So I tend to build three legs.
Mhm.
So my hosting and my website live on SiteGround. It's the most protected site for hosting. It protects it. It does security. It does updates. It does backups. It does everything you want to do. And if at any time you want to design or redesign your website and you hire a developing team, they can actually go in and create like a staging, which is not the front facing of your website, but the back end. And this might be technical jiggle jaggle for you all. But what this does is it doesn't shut down your website as it's getting rebuilt. And I see this with so many businesses as they're moving from one platform to the other. Their business is literally shutting down or
Mhm.
broken because they're trying to move from one place to another.
So another,
So
right.
I like simplicity.
Hmm.
I don't want to overcomplicate my business. And I want to be able to hire somebody that can fix that one thing. I can give them access to it and then I can kick them out of it.
Right.
But
Okay,
nobody
right.
should have access to
Hmm.
my system beyond my team and my company.
Yes. Right.
So does that
So,
make
yeah,
sense?
well, yes, because you're talking about the legs, right? So I'm hearing the website, and but in the website, you've got the hosting, the domain with
That's it. The hosting and
that
domain is all you need for
all
your website.
need,
And then we have a
right,
theme. I have a
right, and then
paid
the thing.
theme for optimized press. It's inexpensive. It has everything you could ever need, and it has the ability to grow. If you want to build out a membership site, that's in there. If you want to
Mhm.
build out shopping carts and have that, like it's all there at a fraction of what I'm seeing people pay for
Pay
or
for.
as a monthly ongoing payment. And
Hmm.
that's where I have concerns is like you're basically, if you're running a business, you need to keep your expenses lower. And
Right.
every time you introduce a new tech stack or a new tool, or you have an
Mhm.
ongoing expense that's costing you your business, then you're losing money in business and you're not generating revenue and you're losing out in profits.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So there's this point where your tech stack, if it's not, and you said it before, if your tech stack isn't supporting your business, but it's driving you insane in your business, you need to start looking at what's actually required. And one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
things that I don't know if you caught that, but like one of the things that Katrina said here was the ability to receive money because you're in business. And I think that, sometimes when we think of tech, we only think of the website, our social media, our marketing, the business.
Shopping cart is massive. If you don't have a shopping cart, I don't know how you're getting money. Are you getting paid? And I know this is a hang up for a lot of people too,
Mhm.
because there's the manual invoicing. So when they get a new client, they're manually invoicing this client trying to get paid. That can be all automated. You really don't have to make this more complicated than you need to be. Like that's another issue that I see out there is that there isn't really any training or education around the e-commerce shopping cart that are available
Mhm.
to people. Everyone thinks that you have to only go through Stripe or you have to have a PayPal, but there's actually e-commerce platforms and e-shopping cart platforms that will allow for you to do a checkout from your website. It looks like the theme of your website. It has the same feel of your website. Your product is on there. What's great about it is when somebody buys, it triggers your CRM like it's supposed to. We'll talk about that as my third leg, but that shopping cart, that e-commerce checkout process, again, it needs to be customer focused. And so many times we're trying to make it, we're just trying to get by with what we know. But this is a really critical piece. If you can't accept low end up to high end payments, then again you're hurting your business because you're not able to grow in the process.
Mhm. And what are some of those
Shopping carts.
comment? Yes.
So honestly, the one I found, and I found them, I think I've been with them for like almost 15 years. That's how early on I found them, back when they were first getting started. So again, they recognized that there was a gap in the marketplace, and there's still a fairly large gap around e-commerce shopping
Mhm.
carts and checkout processes for consumers. So they integrate with a lot of things. So I use SamCart. SamCart's been around, like I said, for a long time. They are always moving and pushing the wire because they recognize that the buying experience has to be phenomenal nowadays. It needs to be easy, have very little friction to it. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why I like SamCart is that here's what I love about it, right? So I'm in business, I'm collecting payments, I'm making money, and I got a client that's on like a monthly recurring payment and their credit card expired and they got issued a new card, right? I may not know that and I may not understand why they're not getting paid or whatever. Well, there's this phrase called dunning, Dunning. It's called dunning. And dunning is the process set up by these carts, these e-commerce carts, and should actually be built into your system. And most of us don't even know it exists, but as a reminder sequence. It's up to about 4 emails, spaced a few days apart, and says, "Hey, we missed your payment. Do you need to change out your card or update the payment method?"
Mhm.
This goes out. I didn't even know it went out without me even thinking about it. And it has saved me thousands of dollars in recovered income that I potentially would have lost to my business because I didn't know this needed to be in there to support my business. I was just
Mhm.
focused at the time on just coaching and helping people, but I was potentially going to lose tens of thousands of dollars because there wasn't something in place that said, "Oh, your credit card shifted," or "we weren't able to make payment," or something like that. And instead of sending out that email,
Mhm.
"Hi, you've missed a payment and I need to
Oh,
like those awkward freaking
awkward.
emails that nobody
Or
really wants to send out,
yes,
like
or
in
the
the
awkward
coaching
phone call.
industries, yeah, or a
Yes.
phone call in the coaching industry
Mhm.
specifically, because that's typically where I've played and work is, or even in the e-commerce industry, like nobody wants to freaking make that call. Nobody wants to sit there and hound you. I mean, how many of you have ever like gotten behind on a credit card payment and all the emails that go out and the phone calls that come in and like they hound you for every dollar?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be that in their business. They're focused on growing, not
Growing the
necessarily
business. Exactly.
the customer support, right? With SamCart, what's been really great about them is that I did start with like one page landing pages. I used them to make my pages easy to shop, right?
Hmm.
Made it easy for them to click a button and buy that it didn't look clunky on my website. So they integrate with a lot of tools out there. And I do mean a lot of tools. And that was one of the big things is that they're always looking to be, I would say if I were to look at how the shopping process looks,
Hmm.
if you were to put two side by side, I would say Amazon's got a great checkout process. SamCart mimics that for the non-corporate individual. So if you want a Amazon-like buying experience in your checkout process that makes it really simple for people to buy and not have to question or to break down their thinking,
Hmm.
then that process with SamCart is already built in.
That's amazing because I think that's the easiest. And then it comes back exactly to what you were talking about, the experience for your customer. All
Yeah.
right. It's simple for you and it has all of these other back end things, but that customer experience, because I'd say one of the reasons I only shop at Amazon is because of the checkout experience.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
It's a one click and the payment's done.
Mm.
Like that's what SamCart allows. It allows for, and it's integrated and it's gotten really fantastic security. It's there, it's built for the customer experience, but also designed for you as a company to provide that customer experience at a whole nother level. So if you don't want to pay what Amazon has paid to develop their system and you want to get it for a fraction of the cost, SamCart
Okay.
ultimately is going to be the e-commerce cart that I recommend because
Hmm.
it's a no-brainer. You can build out courses in there, the same thing. So there is some like redundancies, but I like it because if I were to build out the shopping cart experience on my website, it doesn't have all the functionalities. It doesn't have all the cool little buttons for buy now, pay later. It doesn't have the one now buy now click link because that requires a whole nother development team to come into your website to build that. I might as well just plug in SamCart, use those features. And I've sold everything honestly from like 47, $27 up to $12,000 and
SamCart. Yeah.
beyond, right?
Hmm.
From that system. So it's not like it's only made for small like micro
Hmm.
buys. It
Yeah.
is available for the bigger high ticketed items that are out there.
This is exciting. So, leg number three, because
Mm.
we've got the website, we've got our core website, we've got our shopping cart. What's leg number three then? Because you
How the
mentioned
hell do
that.
you follow up with people? Right? I got them buying, but here's what I also know, and this is an industry-wide standard. The most income that you're going to make, what's going to help you build is the 80% of it's found in the people that have already bought from you.
Mhm.
So if you know that there's money in the people that have already purchased from you, why not sell to them again? Right? And to do that, you need a way to follow up with people, but you need to freaking automate that. Nobody wants to sit here and say, oh, I had this person buy this. Now I need to send this email and I need to F that all the way around people. Like, I just no. Yes, I did really say
Did
it
she read
because
it?
that is redunculous, right? And so many of us don't. We look at the website as like, that's what we need. Yes, we need the shopping cart because we want to receive money into our lives. But the follow up is critical. And that is what we call a CRM. And there's a lot of them different. There's tons out there. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I've gone through, like Hillary mentioned in the very beginning, quite a few. I've actually, kind of grown with the industry and always looking for a better way to follow up and communicate and automate that sequence for my customer. So less broadcasting, more automation. So this is where
Yes.
you're going to love AI. It's going to help you build these automation sequences. You just go into Claude and you say, "Hey Claude, help me build this email sequence for this lead magnet." And like bam, you've got like an outline of everything you need to do. Thank the Lord for this. Thank you AI for all of this. I'm not stressing about how to build that system because I've done it before. I've done a lot of it manually. It sucks. I love AI because it makes it super simple, but you still
Hmm.
need your voice in there. So the CRM that we use was previously known as Infusionsoft, then was known as Keep, and recently got purchased by a company called Thrive. So you're going to see a name change around this. It probably by the end of 2026, at the time of this recording, it still could be found under Keep. And one of the things I liked about this one is that my calendar was already integrated into it. So my appointment scheduling was in there. My email automation was in there. The ability even to do invoices and work my workflow. So like if I'm on a call with a client and they're ready to move to the next step, that's all automated, right? So I didn't necessarily need to build another website page for that. On the back end within my CRM, that automatically gets taken care of. So there's this sense that I'm using this tool. And the reason yes, I could use my CRM to collect payment and everything else. But again, it was very clunky and it didn't feel like that Amazon one-click experience. And I really wanted the Amazon one-click experience. I'm not gonna lie, I geeked out over it when they brought it in. And Heather was like, yeah, it's really cool, right? Because if you can make it easy for your client or your customer to buy, there's less resistance.
There's
And
less
then you get that
resistance.
spontaneous buying, or you're not trying
Mhm.
to figure out how to sell them. So that was a big piece for me. So the CRM was really, really important. And I didn't want to have to, again, pay for all these different tools that were
Mhm.
out there. So, like,
Right.
yes, I could buy a scheduling tool. Yes, I could buy the CRM tool. Then I could buy this tool. Like, you can lose a lot of money in your tech stack because you're trying to run the gamut
Mhm.
and capture everything. I specifically look for tools and systems that are independent, but are robust enough that I can grow into them, right? So I'm not going to
Right.
outgrow their system. I want something that I will
System.
grow into and expand as I continue to grow my business. Those were
Right.
some very critical elements. So going back to the everything we talked about, I wanted to make sure I owned my assets, my business assets.
Mhm.
Critical for that because if you ever want to sell or try to get somebody to move something, it's a pain in the butt to move. Own your domain, pay for your hosting, and then like I said, I use OP3. I've got developers that know how to use the system. So if you want somebody to build it for you, that's super, super simple to do and at a fraction of the cost of what you're going to potentially pay if you're trying to do an all-in-one. So just be careful about all-in-ones because I find they can be overpriced and inflated, and you're going to need a whole new technical training skill to learn it all anyhow.
Right. Right. So that makes sense, yeah. So own your own domain, and you've dropped a few names here throughout. We'll definitely have them in the show notes. But like, so I would love to know now, and the audience too, if I came to you and I
Mm.
brought you my business, where can you help me figure out what I have too much of? If I say, okay, I'm tired, feel like I'm, as a female, I'm coming into my business and every day I feel as if I'm stressing out about this, that, and the other. Who, what, where can help me get these three pillars? Because it's just three that we need.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing. So with when you come work with us inside of Create a Rewire, so you're getting myself, you're getting Heidi, and we're even getting like the you inside of here as the reference, and because your operations, she's
Mhm.
my she loves Excel sheets and like SOPs, and so that is really important because once you figure out your standard operating procedure for certain tasks, you do want to be able to outsource them.
Yeah.
You can do them yourself, but that's where you start looking at like, do I really need to be doing this all? So I think really for Rewire, when some a woman's like in that state of overwhelm, like I don't know where to go in the technology, my business feels like it's all over the place. I'm spending more time marketing than I am actually doing my business. That's where I
Mhm.
find women that come to Rewire. You're
Mhm.
heading towards burnout, you're struggling with this piece. And so what we do is when you come into Rewire, first it's an application and we don't accept everybody. I work with a very specific group of women. So you get an application, you'll get on the call with me or with Heidi, which is our business partner. We're going to walk you through and ask you, what is it you need? Where are you at in your business? Where do you feel like there's an overwhelm? What are you wanting to move forward through? And then in that, what we start teaching you is how to use your female intelligence cycle to process the technology, the tools, the financial, and see what it's costing you to run your business.
Mhm.
That's where Heidi comes into play. So she looks at like, what's your cost? So she's our CFO. We do loan her out as a fractional CFO for those that, want to make sure that they have a business cash flow foundation that is structured for their next level of growth. Most of us don't. I would say in talking with a lot of business owners over the last 20 years, men and women, I would say at least 80% of us never have the business structure in place. We know how to generate leads, we know how to market, we know how to make those sales, we know how to do what we're doing, but none of us have the financial structure in place for anything, for either like surviving or growth. And that's where Heidi comes into play. So really having that one. So when you come in, I work with you on, okay, what business are you really in? How are you growing and scaling this? And then we work through your female intelligence cycle. And what that looks like is, what does productivity look throughout your month, throughout your season, throughout your quarter? Where are you at? And I listen for you because, as we started earlier in this conversation, that invisible load. Mommy, I need this, I need that, I need this. I gotta clean the house, I gotta do lunch, I gotta get dinner, I gotta go shopping, I gotta get this. Like all the other stuff that's going on in your head, on top of all the decisions you're making for your business, the decision fatigue is real. So how do we reduce decision fatigue, simplify what your business is, and allow for you to maintain control? Because that's what so many women want. They want to control everything, but also exhale and let go. The permission and the visibility of seeing how that intelligence cycle works month to month, you start to realize what you can put down each week, that you don't have to carry that load until maybe next week. So you start learning week to week what your capacity load is based on how you're actually thinking. We hear it a lot. Some weeks I'm really, really smart, creative. I have all these ideas. And then the next week, I feel like I just need to get everything done. I have times of what we're often missing is that one week that's actually named rest. So there's like these different modalities that we go through, coloring, bilateral music. We actually show you how to create white space in your life so you can breathe and integrate a lot of what you're learning. The pacing of so much business coaching out there is like, you're here with me for 90 days and you're going to do something this, holy crap. Like
When do you
that is
break?
unsustainable. And even for me as a coach, when I was teaching that, I think that's one of the reasons my business broke down, because I couldn't maintain a 52 week, always on, always performing, always doing it. Like I wasn't honoring my rest cycle. I didn't even know what the hell it was until recently, right? So I think with working with women, Rewire is set up to be a 4-month process because we give you a break to integrate, to reflect upon during the intelligence cycle that's best for you. That's why there's multiple of us teaching that within the Rewire system with like Heidi and myself, because we give each other breaks. I'm not always on to perform something, and we look at the mental capacity load of what we're teaching. Does that align with your capacity, or do we need to move things around in the program to better serve you? So it's not a linear output. It's more of a like, where are you at and what do we need to focus on so that we best serve you? You as a woman that already has so much on her plate doesn't need coaching program or business or women that come in and say, this is what you need to do. You need to be heard and then shown a different way. Because I always say, a lot of the women we work with, they left corporate because it was inflexible. They were exhausted. They couldn't keep up the schedule, right? The deadlines were insane. So I want to start my own business because I want time and flexibility.
Right.
But you're building on the same freaking construct that
Of
you
a
left
corporate.
corporate for. Because how do you think corporate was built? And how do you think all the business coaches out there are teaching you? They're teaching that same freaking construct.
Construct.
So until you work with someone like myself and Heidi and Hillary, and we understand as living females of what the female intelligence cycle actually is and how it benefits us, not just for the short term, but for the long term health of ourselves, our family, our business, our financial. Only then can you really evolve what you're building a business and get back time and flexibility. Because it doesn't exist in the certain construct, and you're just following the same model that's out there that's not serving us.
Not serving me. Yeah. So that, I mean, let me tell you, it doesn't get any simpler than that. Okay. It doesn't get any simpler than that. I want to thank you, Katrina, for being our guest today on Did She Really Say That? Did she really say that? Yes, she did. She did. Obviously, if you've loved what you've heard today, definitely reach out to another woman, share this podcast, and just let them know your technology doesn't have to be complicated, but you've got to listen to yourself. Listen to yourself first before you grab shiny objects. All right. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
If today's conversation hit home, don't just listen, take the next step. Download the free CreatHER Authentically Guide at createherplanner.com/free and discover how to build your business in alignment with your natural rhythm. And if you love this episode, please leave a review. It helps more women find the show. I'll see you in the next episode.